Welcome to this edition of 5 Minutes of Lean. Today's topic is on structured problem solving. So I'm going to start with some quotes from Albert Einstein. Amazing problem solver and some really good insight as to how to attack problems. So the first one here is we can't solve problems by using the same kind of thinking we used when we created them. The next one I want to share is given 1 hour to save the world, I would spend 55 minutes defining the problem and 5 minutes finding the solution. So both of these to me really circle around thought and the power of thought and the importance of thought as it relates to attacking your problems and trying to eventually solve your problems. And you have to have the right amount of thought and plan and structure to go into it for it to be effective. So if you don't have that structure and thought, to me, that's traditional problem solving. That's just habits we've gotten into. It's human nature to want to get to the solutions. So it feels good to come up with a solution, boost your energy to have a solution, and that's fairly traditional and fairly normal for people to want to do that. But the risk with not spending the right amount of time and putting some structure behind it on the front end is that you may not get agreement with all the stakeholders on what that problem actually is, what some of those terms are, what the actual impacts are. You might not get any buy-in from the team, and without buy-in from the team that's part of that process that the problem is affecting, it may not be sustained. It may not get implemented. Also, there's poor planning involved if you don't spend the right amount of time up front. Also, scope change. So you might be constantly moving that target if you haven't spent the right amount of time on the front end thought and you're just dispensing some solutions. Typically, you'll see lack of follow-up there. You might be creating some new fires, so creating some new problems by trying to solve other ones without structure. And then wasted effort. So, I personally am engaged in an awful lot of problem solving, and I know there are a number of folks across the enterprise and organization I'm part of that are as well. And so you don't want to get to the end of all that work and effort and realize that it wasn't valuable, it was wasteful. And then, just out there dispensing solutions can also just put some band-aids on it. So you're addressing those symptoms and not the root cause. And you don't want to keep applying band-aids. You want to eliminate the problem. So to talk about some types of structured problem solving that can be applied. So PDCA, so plan, do, check, and act. DMAIC, define, measure, analyze, improve, and control. And then I want to end on the 8-step model. So you'll also hear it referred to as the A3 by some folks, which is just kind of been picked up based on the fact that that's what it prints on. So it's a standard form, a template that you would print on an A3. And there are 8 steps there listed, and you will follow each one in order and not move on to the next one until the other one's complete. So I've got a sample up here. Again, this is one that I've used quite often, and the organization is applying this one fairly often. And just wanted to highlight on this. You see your 8 boxes, but I have the first 3 highlighted. So those are the critical ones. So that's that front end work to really identify, quantify, validate, clarify the problem. So when you get to the end of box 3 is kind of your hold point, your sanity check. So making sure you're not spending $10 to fix a $1 problem. And you have enough data here to really kind of understand some of that. And at this point, you'd want to be having conversations with people that might potentially be team members, maybe some cold eye review, and definitely some leadership review. And if you're going to have a sponsor involved, you're going to have that sponsorship review before you start getting into box 4 and investing a lot of time. So I want to dive a little bit. So that's your root cause analysis. And there's a lot of tools out there to do root cause analysis, and we won't get in depth here. We'll do that in another training, but you've really got to spend the time to get to that root cause. To me, if you haven't clearly identified a root cause and you've come up with a solution, then you've done it by accident. And if you're going to spend time and effort and other people's time and effort and energy into solving a problem, I'd rather do it on purpose. So it's really critical to spend the right amount of time to get to that root cause. So what? Now that we know this, what should we do? So get yourselves educated, learn about the 8-step structured problem solving model. Ask for some samples. Talk to some people that have worked on them before. If you've been part of teams where you saw one but weren't part of the development, revisit that. Then get out there and identify a problem in your world, just something that bugs you, something that you don't think is right. Start to gather the data and complete what you can in those first 3 boxes, understanding that that data is not always readily available and you may have to set up some measurement to get it. Then go out and get some feedback on those first 3 boxes. Maybe it's cold eye review, maybe it's your leadership, maybe it's your peers, maybe it's potential team members. Then understand the value proposition. Is that fix more costly than the problem itself? And if it meets the value proposition, build a team and work through the final steps. And don't forget step 8. That's critical. That's standardizing and sharing. And we miss out on a lot of opportunities when we don't do that because so many other people might be experiencing the same problem that you just fixed. So I hope you found this session helpful, and I look forward to helping all of you on your lean journey.